Crypto is going really crazy right now. A little bit earlier today, everything saw its darkest moment. And I'm kind of afraid that if I go to bed right now, it'll be even worse, which is partially the reason I'm recording this at like 5 a.m. right now. Call me crazy, but that's just how the crypto market is treating us right now. It's just, it is like that. Having said that, we saw some massive recovery because all of a sudden the Fed switched from being, well, really just only on the side of no rate cuts to now all of a sudden it almost being certain that yet another rate cut is coming at, well, the 10th of December. Now, as time progresses, more and more articles and more posts are starting to come out, though, about what exactly is causing this entire crash. Like, for example, what if the whole situation around the 10th of October was actually a bit different than we all thought? Like, who are the main perpetrators behind that crash? And is that also why things continue to keep crashing right now? Well, there's definitely something to be said about it, but the main point comes down to two things. There's literally two main lines of thinking. One is that it was something happening on a specific exchange, and two is the new way of thinking that it has to do with these digital asset treasuries like MicroStrategy and BMNR here, for example, and others have been one or some of the biggest buyers that powered this cycle. It's now being said that this whole narrative is now over, it's done, and we're basically wondering what the next big thing is going to be that's going to lead up crypto as the DAT narrative is kind of played out. And apparently the DAT game is pretty simple. This is, again, companies that primarily just purchase more cryptocurrencies to get listed really high, make fees, and buy more cryptocurrencies so they can basically outperform all the other funds and stay at the top. On exactly the 10th of October, MSCI, the world's second largest biggest index company, published the below. They're questioning whether companies that hold crypto assets as their core business should be considered as companies or funds, which is indeed a good question. If they are funds, they're not included in passive indexing. Why? Because this creates a circular loop. The fund buys assets, gets bigger, and then is concluded in more indices and buys more assets. The expected ruling will be announced on the 15th of January 2026, and if this does pass, the companies like MicroStrategy will be automatically removed from all indices. And if this happens, it would mean that all the pension funds, normal funds, and all other passive index holders would dump their MicroStrategy automatically. It would also mean that going forward, they would never be included, and as such, one of the big reasons why they would actually exist, would disappear. Since digital asset treasuries have been powering this cycle and have been the most buying pressure, the smart money saw this immediately, and after the 10th of October announcement, positioned accordingly. The 10th of October wasn't a coincidence after all. It was smart money seeing a big risk to crypto and the current market structure, and the market will probably continue to dump until around the end of December. And if the announcement is negative, we will get a huge dump in preparation for the removal from all the indices. On the other hand, if it's positive, the bull market is probably back. I wrote this down in a 10-minute video this morning. And well, if you enjoyed the analysis, please retweet about it. A lot of people did, but there was also something that shall not be named too much. A comment section of people that said, you know what? This is not really the reason at all. Matter of fact, there was some vulnerabilities in, for example, a specific USD derivative. There was something going on right there. A few other cryptocurrencies were involved, and well, since something was wrong with internal price, I don't want to talk about this too much. Why? Nobody's talking about it for some reason. I've literally asked maybe 10, 15 people. In private, they're all very open about it. Nobody wants to mention what is believed in a lot of circles to be the main perpetrator of what went wrong. There's a few players, which again you can easily find online, but just typing in 1010 crash, you'll probably find it. But they're basically saying partially API error, partially vulnerability exploitation, which again gets back to this API error slash automated deleveraging mechanism. And I'll say this whole debacle of what he just mentioned about MicroStrategy, right? This may play a part in the grand scheme of things, sure. If you think this was the main reason we crashed and the main reason we keep continuing to go down, I think you're wrong. But the only thing I'll say is if you say that this entirety of the thing, plus potentially quantum computing and stuff, play a role in not making us do better and playing a role in why Bitcoin was able to go from 125K, let's say, to 81 as well, and not just altcoins having a field day like back on that day, it could play part. Remember, when altcoins saw their most massive of crash, right? I don't think it makes a lot of sense for the cause to be this. This should have usually caused, mostly Bitcoin to crash with alts to follow, what happened on that day was mostly alts just went to zero and Bitcoin did pretty well. It stayed above 100K, right? Or 99K, I think 100K. Right now, Bitcoin is falling like crazy, and it seems like more and more people are starting to price this in. But on that day itself, doesn't seem that logical. And also, if we're taking a look at all the volatility and the prices continue to fall, sure, it could be because they're expecting this major event a few weeks from now. But I think the majority of it is going around tech stocks like NVIDIA. We saw a little exact price copy or move copy, the S&P 500, NASDAQ, etc. And very importantly, playing around the Fed. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that this has been the absolute worst November for the NASDAQ, the S&P, and for Bitcoin since 2018, or for NASDAQ and S&P since 2008. If you think this is an isolated event just affecting our crypto coins, that's ridiculous. It's really, really bad all across the board. And by the way, I don't necessarily respect Dr. Mr. Julian too much, but he had an interesting point. And actually, the only part that I'm going to take out of this is that up till now, a really big part of what's causing a lot of optimism in the market was the funds, the ETFs, basically bidding up the market, right? But now there's a lot of fear of Saylor moving away, partially because their fund supposedly could get slashed. And the reason I'm saying, and this is fun, right? But that's because then at that point it would be a fund. I don't think it's going to happen though, realistically, because if you take a look at his most recent statements, talking about, for example, MSCI here, response to the MSCI index matter, Strategy is not a fund. For what reasons? Well, because they're making actual products. This year alone, we completed 5 public offerings on digital credit securities, STRK, STRF, STRD, STRC, and STRE, representing over $7.7 billion in notional value. We also launched Stretch, a revolutionary Bitcoin-backed treasury credit instrument that provides variable monthly USD yield to institutional and retail investors. Funds and trusts passively hold assets. Holding companies sit on investments. We create them, structure, issue, and operate. Our team is building a new kind of enterprise, a Bitcoin-backed structured finance company with the ability to innovate in both capital markets and software. And at the end of the day, it's also very important to note, they also are a publicly traded operating company with a $500 million software business and a unique treasury strategy that uses Bitcoin as productive capital. Now, I will counter this all by saying that's cool and all, but it's kind of strange that their main business, their software business, is 500 mil, yet their holdings are 70 billion for Bitcoin. It's kind of cool. On the opposite side, I'm thinking, you know what? If they really want to, they can stretch this some way to indeed continue to operate as they're operating right now. I realistically speaking think their lawyers are probably good enough to get this done. You can, in the world of finance, stretch your company in a certain way to look a certain way. They just might have to really try harder than they're doing right now, but I honestly think they've probably set this through. They've probably gone over all the freaking rules. And if they're able to make a response saying, hey, you know what, we're not a fund because of this and then this and that, remember that if this company is worth, let's say, $75 billion, it's not a given, but especially since this is a matter of life and death, they probably had some very smart people look over it for this response. And if this was stupid, you'd see a lot of people here saying, my friend, which, I mean, there's a few, but right now it seems the majority of people still are on their side. And the narrative here would have shifted if the general populace would have opined that this is, a false statement. Again, I'm not guaranteeing you that. There's still a chance. I'm just saying that right now things are looking quite okay for their response. And remember that this is literally a make or break for MicroStrategy. If it's turned out to be a fund and it gets delisted everywhere, that's bad because that means no real need for people to invest anymore. And that would also suck for our coins. In a certain essence, not really, because they could always just sell their MicroStrategy and buy their stock, their flat Bitcoin back. They could, but how many of them will do that? That's a good question. Now, what I did notice is that the more the discussion has opened up now about MicroStrategy and really about all these digital asset treasury companies, what an interesting discussion does become basically or gets started about the finite structure of all these cryptocurrencies, but also the idea of, well, if you're raising more debt, right, you're raising money to buy more cryptos, so you can raise more debt to buy more crypto, so you can raise more debt to buy more crypto. Hopefully the price goes up so you can buy even more. What type of company is that, right? It's a good question. Well, one thing I'll say is if you've not pressed the like button yet, make sure you go ahead and do so. And by the way, a little side note, make sure you also check out Blowfin. A link is down below. Or if you're interested in actually seeing us talk about our trades, all the trades we're taking right now, more and more people are starting to join, so I'm very much excited about that. I still need to figure out a good way to keep everything clean here so everybody can just, look at these different channels without any intervention. But regardless, right, it's still something pretty nice here we've got built or going on. If you're interested in taking any of these trades or seeing all of ours, sometimes you make a loss. I try to share every single part, not just the wins, every single thing. because recently here it's been so freaking amazing, so freaking beautiful. I want you guys to realize the whole full picture. No sugarcoating. Check it out. Link is down below. Completely free. I don't want to charge you for any freaking thing. They are my analysts. I already pay them, so it's okay. And hopefully this way you don't have to go and fill out your McDonald's job application. But yeah, getting back to the drawing board, we are seeing some record-breaking amounts in liquidations. It is staggering to watch every single day, day in, day out of just more craziness. Right now, if I'm refreshing, still $1.81 billion worth of wreckage we are seeing right here. And it's just wild, man. If you look back a few months, if anybody had told me really that things would be so, I'm trying to press max pain, here we go. If anybody would have told me it would be so severe, I probably wouldn't have believed you. Or the fact that we'd be back down to like 85K a Bitcoin. Nah, I could not have believed you. It is just that crazy to me. And it's also kind of crazy that it seems right here, long max pain is for some reason already at 84,000, but short max pain is only at 111,000. And you can see how much we get wrecked around that level, but still, this is crazy to me that longs will already get wrecked basically at minus 0.15%. I guess there's something wrong with their metrics right here because that just doesn't make sense at all. This is just way too close right here. But that's also when you get this type of volatility, this type of price action, it seems like nothing is working properly no more, man. It's carnage. It's just been a bloodbath. It is interesting to see, though, how little there actually is still left on the long liquidations on the way down. Like, relatively, even if we fall all the way back below like 80K here over on Binance, it's not that big a deal relatively. Let's see here. In the grand scheme of things, I guess, even still now, it's mostly shorts that really have the upper hand of getting wrecked. And for Bitcoin, I guess it starts to get crazy once you go, I'm going to say the wreckage for the shorts is a lot closer than the wreckage for the longs. I'm going to say that this is still a bit too close to comfort, or for comfort. Like at 82 point something thousand, you expect this wreckage to be way further down because of the price action we saw early today, going to 80.5 thousand to like this level right here. For some reason, you can see here, this is like no man's land because we touched it earlier. It's kind of crazy to me how this filled itself back up so fast. I guess people are opening massive longs right now with a pretty close stop loss, or I guess liquidation point. I'm going to say over on Hyperliquid looks a bit more logical with the majority of things sitting all the way back here at 62,000 or something like that. I'm going to guess that's the number we're looking at right here, 62K. And some big knots in the path, but basically all down from like 75K on downwards in here, 73K. Whereas with longs, it makes sense for them to be closer and specific crazy points to be close because mostly, well, I mean, this is like 92,000 we're talking about. That's like far away. This is like miles away right now. Anyway, I guess this changed our whole entire outlook on the upcoming market. We've got ourselves, I guess this new decision on the DATs coming up. Are they funds? Are they companies? We'll see it shortly. And of course, next month we have ourselves the Federal Reserve interest rate numbers coming out on the 10th of December. So this is going to be the most interesting event to watch out for. Still pretty far away, though. We've still got a couple of months, so I'm not really too worried about it, but I wanted to quickly mention it. And for right now, just wanted to quickly give a little update about what the crash was really all about, potentially. I don't think so, but I think it may play a role, or at least play a role in our future prices. So, put it in the back of your head. Not too much to do with that. Just put it in the back of your head. If you were uncertain before, maybe you're more uncertain now. It's possible, but I want you to have as much information as possible. And I'll say one more thing. I'm going to stream like 1 hour, 1.5 hours every single day from right now on, at least for the foreseeable future, at least for the next coming month. If you've not joined yet, make sure you check out. No, actually just subscribe. I wanted to say check out stuff, but no, it's right here over YouTube. Tomorrow I'll be back with another stream. Probably, I don't know what time yet. Maybe probably around the same time I did it today. But yeah, maybe like 3 p.m. Dubai time. But it depends on what time I wake up, etc. And what I'm going to do because it's a Saturday, huh? I could also go ahead and pillage like a village or something. So let's see about that. All I know is tomorrow we'll be back with the stream. Check it out. And yeah, I really want you guys to stop on by sometimes with the streams because why not? Let's see you guys get another one.